I was completely sold out on the belief that in 2023 I was healed from this traumatic experience that hello, beloved, and welcome back to our peaceful channel. I know it has been quite some time since you have heard from me, and in today's video, I will be sharing with you why. Although you will leave today's video with more of my business, I will be sharing more of my personal business. It will not be considered a diary entry because I also need to have you hold me accountable for all things ministry. I would like to give you an update on how the ministry is going and when you can expect something other than just me giving you an update, right? So that's what's going to be happening in today's video. I'm going to do my best to not keep you here very long. Just say what I need to say and then let you go enjoy the rest of whatever you got going on today. So before we jump into the video, I want to go ahead and ask you to please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. If you have seen my lovely face more than one time, then you are a beloved community member and we would love to have you subscribe to this channel. Now that I have shamefully begged you to subscribe to the channel, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Disappointment and doubt. Those are the emotions that I have been struggling with. That is the inner conflict that I have been dealing with for the past couple of weeks. I'm not even sure if a couple of weeks is accurate, because if I go back far enough in my journal, I think it started during the month of May, and I was calling it something else. But now that I have taken time out to check in with myself, to pray about it, to question, right? And to gain understanding, to gain wisdom, I am soul, S-O-U-L, sure that the emotions that I have been struggling with is disappointment and doubt. So, what was I disappointed in? What was I doubting? Since God gave me this new identity, I tried to walk exactly in the way that I feel like my soul is leading me to walk on any given day at any given time. And yet, I was being constantly hit in the face with disappointment. Disappointment in so many areas. But there were really two areas that affected me so much to where the disappointment that I was feeling turned into doubting my purpose. The first area of disappointment that I struggled with was in my personal life. Well, can I say personal? Because both of them was kind of in my personal life. So we're just going to call this in my relational life, meaning in my experience with someone else, my experience with another person. Back in April during Holy Week, I explained, or I shared with you, that one of the miracles that I experienced was I got reconnected with an old friend. Do you remember that? And since then, me and this old friend, we have still been communicating. Although majority of the time our communication is decent, it is good, it's exciting, right? Because after all these years, despite our past, traumatic past, we were able to establish this communication as adults years later. So it's been exciting. It's also been very frustrating to me, which caused the disappointment. I was completely sold out on the belief that in 2023 I was healed from this traumatic experience that I shared with this person when we were 18, 19 years old. And that was true up until we reconnected. That was the test. And when we reconnected, I questioned it so many days. Why? What was the point? I just got over this situation and the person is now back. I just get over the person and this person returns. Right? What's the deal, God? Those were the questions, those were the conversations that I had repeatedly until I thought he answered the question with to help that person. I had no idea the reconnection was also to help me, to show me that I was not completely over everything as I thought I was because I wasn't tested. You see, you never know if you're completely over something or if you completely have dealt with those issues until you're tested. And the disappointment set in because I have been tested, and beloved, I have failed the test. Although I know me and this person are just communicating with each other, nothing seriously happening here, I found myself trying to force or establish feelings that were not there and probably are not meant to be there. And once I realized what I was doing, it turned into disappointment in myself. But what I did was, instead of identifying it as I was disappointed in myself, I projected that disappointment to the other person. I allowed that person's actions or inaction to dictate my feelings, my emotions for no reason. Because the emotions, right, the feelings that I have established were all out of my own mind. It was not something that me and this person had spoken about, that we talked about. I made this up. I made all of those feelings up. I established this whole scenario in my head. And when I didn't see any of what I have created in my head being played out in front of my face, I was disappointed in that person when really the disappointment was lying within me. And that disappointment caused me to doubt what God could do through me. I hope you understand that. The second area of where disappointment set in was the situation with the dog bite. Also during Holy Week, I shared with you that I was attacked by my neighbor's dog. Since then, I have been dealing with that situation, trying to figure out with the neighbor, what does it look like for them to hold themselves responsible for what happened. And so I had been I've been working on that, trying to deal with that amongst other things that I'm dealing with. And there's been issues with the resolution. Because of those issues, I started getting disappointed. I couldn't understand why I could not find a reasonable resolution. Why it felt like every resolution that I would try to establish with my neighbors was being hit with a no. Why was that happening? If God has approved me, if God has created me to be a peacemaker, why am I not able to make peace with my neighbors? That battling has caused me to doubt my purpose. And because I have been doubting my purpose, it has caused me to slow up or delay progress within the ministry. If you have paid any attention to this channel, I have shared a couple of shorts regarding the ministry, and I've also shared a couple of posts. Although I have been moving, I have not been moving at the pace that I know that has been asked of me. I was doubting if the purpose was even real. Right? I've been wrong about a couple of things that came around the same time these other things came. So if I'm wrong about those things, could it be possible that I'll be wrong about this? That is the inner conflict that I was suffering from, that was preventing me from going all in on what I know I'm supposed to be going all in for. How is it that I am now able to come back to the ministry refreshed? Job 13:15. Though he slays me, yet I will put my trust in God. That is the scripture that I have taken captive in my heart for the past month to pull me out of the dungeon of disappointment and doubt. Although these situations are happening, although I am being met with so much conflict, not necessarily conflict from other people, but I am being met with so much inner conflict, I am still going to put my trust in him, because he did promise that he will always be there, that he would never leave nor forsake me, that if I turn to him, if I seek him, I shall find him, right? That's why I would trust. I know God to be faithful, and I know that he'll never put more on us than we can bear. So once I started putting my trust in God and releasing that negative energy, those negative emotions of disappointment and doubt, I started to realize that the inner conflict that I was facing was for me. It allowed me to see that some conflicts are for other people, but some conflicts are for us, ourselves. Although I know that a conflict is not to be seen negatively, but as a positive thing, I was perceiving that inner conflict that I was struggling with, the disappointment and doubt, as negative, because what I was seeing in front of me was not adding up to what I knew God promised and called me to do. It wasn't adding up in my mind. But what I failed to see that it really was, it was just in a different way. It was to grow me more so I can teach this to someone else. It was for me to recognize when a conflict is to minister to someone else, or if it's to minister to me. That was the whole point of the disappointment and the doubt. I just saw it at that time to be a negative thing. And learning that lesson was so helpful because it gave me a deeper understanding in the calling of a peacemaker. It gave me a deeper understanding of practicing peacemaking ministries. So, with that being said, I want to let you know, beloved, that I am back on the job, right? I am back on the job. I am resuming the work, getting this ministry up and running. And we had a community opening date. What does that mean? If you are interested in joining the Practicing Peacemaking community, your opportunity will come starting August 1st. On August 1st, I will release, for those who are interested, the link to the Facebook group. We're going to start it off on Facebook, where we will dig deeper into what it means to be a peacemaker. And I am going to explain a lot more about this community in the next video. The next video is already written out, it's already planned. I am just waiting for the go-ahead to release it. If you are a person who cringes when two people are at odds with each other, Practicing Peacemaking community is for you. If you are by profession a counselor, a mediator, a therapist, and you struggle eternally with your own conflicts, Practicing Peacemaking is for you. If you are a person that struggles constantly with managing or dealing with conflicts, eternal conflicts or conflicts with another person, practicing peacemaking is for you. If you are identified in either of those categories, then I encourage you to click the link that's going to be in the description box of this video. Click the link to get on the waiting list for our Facebook group. If you're looking for a sacred daily space that you can go to for encouragement, for renewed energy to handle the conflicts that arise within your daily life, either they be your conflicts or the conflicts of others that you are assisting with, if you need that little breakaway time, you're going to want to be a part of this community. Because I, Sheena Yvonne, want to empower you to perceive conflict as an opportunity to minister to others and to yourself. That is my commitment to you. If you would like to hold me to that promise, then click the link in the description box and get on the wait list for the Practice and Peacemaking community. Doors open August 1st, 2025. Until next time, beloved, be guided by His light.